We are live.
Hey, what up, Facebook fam? It's Maintain Your Gains, episode 9. The date is March 1st, kicking off the third month of the year. We're getting ready to get it.
Yes.
Time is approximately 10 minutes. 7:10. We're going to go ahead and jump that timer off. Make sure we're not any longer than 30 minutes. Definitely not going to go that long. But all right, Mike, let's jump right in and let's go and get this discussion going for the day.
So, like we talked about last, blood in the water. Blood in the water last week. There wasn't nobody that wasn't hurt. We was hurt. We was hurting last week. I think bar none, worst week I've ever had. Bar none, worst week I ever had. Huh? How it ended on Friday, So today we had a significant comeback. But saying on last week, we had days where, just to be honest with y'all, all the profit I made this year, I lost it at one point last week. Every single penny I made, I lost it.
Unrealized.
Unrealized. Realized. Excuse me. All the realized gains I made, I lost in unrealized losses. Right. So yeah, so they're not realized losses just yet, but still, when you see 100% profit swing, or excuse me, 115%, because we went, it was worse than I made. At one point, I went to last year's money. So at that point, we was hurt. But as today, a little bit better. James, how about you?
Yeah, so last week was a pretty bad week for me as well. I didn't get it as bad as others, just based on the strategy that I have from EFTs. Mm-hmm. But I did get assigned. The good news on the assignment is that sucker flipped back today.
Yep.
And I made substantial gains on that today. So it was a good day for me from going out of last week. So pretty happy about that.
Okay. Good though.
For me, last week wasn't really that bad. I was because of what I was in already. I was already assigned in the stuff I trade, so I was kind of ahead of everybody else. So the week before last week is when I got hit. so last week I was just like, hey guys, welcome to the party.
Hey, it's warm in the pool.
I was already feeling the pain for the, I guess the industry I'm trading, had already been hit, and I guess it kind of led that sell off ahead of time. So last week wasn't even nothing but just kind of a chilling, waiting to see what happens this week.
Yeah.
Like you said, got a little bit of a bounce back this today. We'll see if that holds. I don't know what they got planned, up their sleeves. So we'll see how that goes, see how that holds up, and just. I know you don't do it, Mike, but over on our side, brother, it's just trading the wheel, bro. Just taking what the defense give it, bro. Like I ain't even like I just still got the money rolling. I got the covered calls going down instead of the covered puts, and we just getting it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you last week, it's a lower amount of income, but the income is still flowing. You know what I mean? So I'm not just sitting there chilling at the moment.
So I got a revelation. On one of my puts, I might roll it into the call. I might roll it into shares and do some covered calls. We here, baby. We here.
Congratulations.
We running the
wheels. Get your roll on, everybody. Finally, bro.
So I might be doing that with the same one that you were talking about, Skitzo. The
industry,
position,
okay.
Right?
The biotech.
Exactly. It's so far. It's so well. My exercise price is 145. My strike is 145 on that one right now. So
and it's at 120. Got you. Okay.
It's at 120. So I might, if I have to, I will on that one, because I'm not going to take the L. But if I don't have to, then hopefully by expiration date we're back into it.
And that's something feasible. We're talking one contract. We're talking maybe 15. Maybe 15 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that ain't. It ain't it's not something like it's crazy. Like it's like it ain't like somebody might have 10 Teslas.
Of course.
That. You know what I mean? It ain't like
who would that be? That would run 10 cars.
It ain't like 10 Teslas or nothing. So it's manageable. But other than that, just waiting to see. Just running my calls. Just waiting to see. Just letting the strategy run its course, and gonna go from there. Waiting to see what happens. Especially with the biotech industry. Definitely waiting to see kind of did they run that thing up and then pull it back and it's gonna go sideways, or did they run it up, pull it back so we could go higher? That's definitely something I'm gonna be interested to see in since I'm kind of heavy in biotech.
Well, hopefully, like I said, with the coronavirus stuff, there are some new innovations that come across that could potentially help the that ETF rally, right? Whatever we can get in that biotech kind of field in general, you can see some rallying that's related to the CV in itself. Maybe not, but you never know what we can get in these kind of situations. So, going into next week, I have, like I said, there's a couple more days for me. I know you just want to get back into your normal routine for you to get so. And James, like I said, we're going to be running the ETF as we keep doing.
Well, speaking on that, kind of with what you were saying, I guess some of the concern discussion that's going on out there is like, did they run it up to where it's like oversold and everything's already priced in, or do we still have room higher? So of course that that's the discussion or what we're waiting to see now. Is was it already overbought literally? Because everybody, every time something runs up, they overbought. Every time something goes off, it's oversold. So what's the truth? Waiting to see what the truth is or what what the market is going to determine. So just wait that out and go from there. Now, as far as what we're going to be discussing tonight with the ETFs.
So
what is it? Yeah.
So I got a little bit of a slide for everybody here. It's a really basic slide. We just want to go over ETFs, some of the benefits of the ETF, and how we personally trade ETFs in our strategy, or how we use ETFs to benefit ourselves in our strategy. And I have a section for each of us just so we can go over those things. So let me go to a quick share screen so we can get that set up, or we can just talk about that. It's really bare bones, so if y'all want to flesh it out any further, go ahead, okay? This is just something I created real quick.
Did you put any extra puts this week, Imp? Or you just sticking with the CCs right now?
I went to Old Faithful, bro. TNA.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm at 10A last week, got a sign, and then like you said, Old Faithful, bro, she did not let me down.
Man,
I got a sign last week at 92. Took all the premium. Yes, sir. I got a sign last week at 92. Took all the premium. This morning, up out of there at 94.
Good money.
Me too,
clean,
easy
right?
Money.
Just clean,
easy
bro.
Money.
Like,
easy money.
Hey, when I brought you in, bro, and I told you that's my baby, that is my baby, bro.
Yeah,
like,
hey, I call it Old Faithful, bro.
If all else fails, bro, you blow up the account, and I have to start over, bro. I'm going straight TNA for the death of it, bro. Like to the death of it, bro. Like to the death, bro. love my TNA, bro.
Love my God.
All right, bro. I got you. Maintain your gains. Got it pulled up. I see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, this is our list. Let everybody know this is going to be for now, this is going to be our newest symbol, our new icon. This is going to represent maintaining our gains. Hey, just tell us how you like it. But we want to make sure that we're here to continue to do that. So let's get into the ETF discussion real quick, right? So just going to talk about ETF. And just to kind of get to start off, like, what is an ETF? An ETF, this is just kind of like the dictionary definition. An ETF is an exchange traded fund. It's a basket of securities, which is stocks, a basket of stocks that trade on an exchange just like a stock. So as opposed to a mutual fund, you can trade an ETF in any kind of Robinhood or E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, or any kind of brokerage account. You can just trade those freely back and forth without having any issues or any kind of, I guess, resistance to trading that like a mutual fund. Some of the benefits of ETFs that I know, and y'all add anything, please guys, add anything when y'all see fit. Some of the benefits of the ETF are diversification is one, where you have, since it's a basket of securities, you can have multiple different types of securities in that ETF as well, or multiple different companies, multiple different individual companies in a single ETF. 5% will be Tesla, or 5% will be this other company, or 5% will be this other company. So it's built-in diversification, which everybody always preaches. Also, sector penetration, right? Sometimes you don't want to just buy, Ford, Sometimes you want to buy all car companies, and to get into that specific, consumer sector, or instead of buying just Amazon, you want to buy consumer cyclical or consumer goods, a consumer goods sector where that might include Amazon, JD, Walmart, multiple companies in that as well. So that gives you a great way to have sector penetration. So you're kind of and diversification as a part of that. Anything to add, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You first, Sam. You first, Sam.
Yeah, I would say it also it brings better balance, right? Because I think like if you want to go, for instance, I'm heavy in oil and gas with ETFs, and I don't just have to stick with one, right? I can go to ETF that has 8 different oil and gas stocks, right? Some may be they focus on shale, some may be they focus on natural gas, but I kind of get the cluster, right? And so it helps from a strategy standpoint that I'm not pegged to just one stock that may go down, and I get to ride the luxury of the peaks and bounds and be able to pay my strategy against that. So I like that benefit of the being balanced.
And just for clarification, I think when he said he might want to try to trade shale or touch up on shale, he's mean shale like SHELL. He's talking about shale gas there.
Yes.
Y'all help me out real quick. Semiconductors. I know we got NVDA, right? Semiconductor industry. What else we hit in semiconductor industry?
And that's
just two more names. NVDA and what's 2 more?
You're gonna have Intel and you're gonna have AMD. They're all semiconductor.
So we're talking AMD, NVDA, and INTC.
Intel, yeah.
INTC, I believe, is what Intel is.
Yeah.
So those 3 names, guys, they're 3 different companies, and they're 3 different stocks. If you want to trade semiconductors, you might say, let me get all 3 of these in this industry. And you could do that to diversify your account. But if you had the semiconductor ETF, that semiconductor ETF might have NVDA, INTC, and AMD all rolled into it already. So instead of trading 3 different individual companies, you could trade one ticker that has exposure to all 3 of those. So that's a live example of how an ETF would work. So it might have 5% of INTC, it might have 5% of AMD, and then 5% exposure to NVDA. So that's kind of a live example of how that would work as far as what an ETF is,
and
how it rolls it in.
And what's so great about ETFs is that you can just trade them. You can go to any brokerage account that you own and you can just buy and sell an ETF like any other stock. So it just makes it so much easier, and that's why the volume of sales of ETFs is gaining so much popularity since they were introduced. It's so frictionless to buy an ETF and to sell an ETF into the market because there's so many people that want to get into those.
And when you're stressing that easiness to buy and sell, Mike, I guess you're kind of maybe talking about like maybe mutual funds where they're not as easy to.
Exactly. Compared to a mutual fund, excuse me, that's I'm glad for the clarification. Like compared to a mutual fund, ETF is significantly easier to buy. It's just significantly easier to purchase and to trade, of course.
Because a mutual fund is kind of similar in the fact that it gives you exposure to multiple things, but it might not be as easy to buy and sell in the market. Exactly.
So let's go to the next slide. This next slide is just how we personally trade and how do we personally use ETFs in our personal portfolio and how we use that to make profit. So I want to start off with James and just kind of talk about how you use the ETF, what you normally do, and kind of go over that.
Yep. So I typically focus, like I said, I have TNA, which is one of my primary ETFs, but mostly at this point it's oil and gas. I don't want to necessarily go into just a strict oil and gas company. I'd rather be diversified. So I actually do a cover call strategy with the oil and gas stocks because I like the ETF personally, and then just kind of eat the premiums along the ride. And then for TNA, I do a put strategy and just kind of ride that ETF. That's my baby. Thanks so.
But we're not sharing out here like that. That's your friend. That's your friend.
That's my gal. That's my baby. You can see on on weekends.
That's right. But no, I did stocks at first, Mike, and it was just it's a bit too finicky, and I like I like the way that the EFTs roll, like you said before, the diversification you get in between it. Like, you know, some stocks are super volatile, and so when you try to run a strategy, you kind of get bit sometimes, man. A lot. To me, I feel like a lot more in stocks. So I feel like ETFs for me is kind of a ride or die for me at the moment. And for me, it just creates a better balanced portfolio based on my strategy. It doesn't mean for everyone else it's the same way, but for me, ETFs provide a better balance. And again, the implied volatility is pretty good on those. So you get some nice premiums on those as well. So I actually like, again, oil and gas and TNA are my two. So I do XOP and Rush are my two oil and gas, and then TNA are my other EFT.
I'm going to look at those for myself.
Yeah, of course. I was repeating them in my head.
Yeah,
We're gonna make a record of that. We're gonna make a record of that.
Go ahead.
So really, there's really nothing else to say. I mean that's pretty much what it is. You know, you got your stocks with one type of premium, and because it's just an individual stock, you know, the premium may or may not be there, depending on how volatile it is at the time, based on some kind of catalyst that's going on or something like that. But with your ETFs, the premium is always there. It's always volatile because it's got so many names connected to it. But it's I don't know how you explain exactly, but it's volatile enough to have the premium, but stable enough to be able to trust. You know, so TNA is, like, you know, I've already said in the call, TNA is my go-to. Always gonna have a TNA, you know, fist pump to TNA for sure. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna have, like, even when everything was running up, and I was talking to Mike, and I was telling him, you know, he was telling me, you know, maybe kind of be on the sidelines for a minute, wait for that pullback or whatever. I was telling him, man, I'll go with TNA no matter what. She can run wherever she want to run, bro. and I'm in it because, you know, so basically, guys, what TNA is just exposure to the small cap industry, and it was kind of the lagging with the rest of the market when the rest of the market was bouncing back from COVID and everything was hitting all-time highs. TNA still hadn't got there yet, so I still had the confidence to go in there and not get stuck at the highs because they hadn't hit its all-time high yet. And it's, you know, it's only I say only, but using that $80, $90 range, so it's something that's kind of feasible. It's reachable, and you know, 150, 75, 125, 150. You know, always decent premiums for, you know, for that ticker. So
small gains gang.
Hey, small gains gang. What's up, small gains gang, man? Small gains gang. Always and forever. Let's go. SGG.
So I guess for me, one thing that we haven't really discussed a whole lot, and we kind of talked about it, but it's really, we haven't talked about it specifically, is when I trade ETFs, a lot of my ETFs are leveraged ETFs, you know, triple leverage or double leverage ETF, and TNA is a triple leverage ETF. I'm not sure if Rush is or XOP is, but definitely TNA definitely is. So, you know, we do sometimes, you know, I like to trade those because, like I said, we get the volatility because it's triple leverage.
That's why.
So that's why. So we get the extra volatility. So that helps us, you know, potentially put more money into our account. You know, if we trade volatility, that's one of my key metrics that I like to trade. Hey, triple leverage, on average, 3 times the volatility of a single leverage, just a straight up ETF. Hey, that's kind of how I like to play them. So, you know, I still do things like SOXL, TECL, TNA, LabVIEW. These are some of the names that I like to run, you know, when I get the opportunity to, because they give you the volatility that I'm looking for, so I can actually start running my account up. So that's kind of how I like to play ETF. Hold on 1 second.
Just that's why I'm like the Rush is a 2x leverage ETF.
Okay. Yep.
So that's what it is, guys. So since they're 3 times leverage, that's why you get the volatility, which gives you the high premium. But yet it's still stable because you know the industry that you're playing is a solid industry or a solid name or whatever the case may be. But just to explain just a quick sec, We are 20 minutes in, but just to explain the leverage. So basically, if something is 2 times or 3 times leverage, if your regular, let's say we were speaking semiconductor. So if the semiconductor industry moves 1%, and you're connected to a ETF that is 3 times leveraged semiconductors, it will move 3%. So just to explain the 3 times leverage to you guys.
Yeah. And then that's
did you have was that your last slide, Mike?
That was my last slide. I have a whole lot on it.
Okay.
I just wanted to just kind of talk. I just wanted to have a little bit of structure on that one. So that's my last slide, just to kind of give a little information. Yeah. Okay. So guys, I mean, we had a discussion.
I guess that's ETFs in a nutshell. Then, and we did touch a little bit on the leverage, so that'll work too.
So like we always say, anything. So I guess before we call it back for the day, James, anything else you want to talk about today?
No, man, I'm good, man. I'm just glad today was a bounce back day compared to last week. So, you know,
one time for the market today. You know what I'm saying? Because it was serious. It was rough.
I got my water.
It was rough. Cheers to the market because it was rough last week. Skip, how about you? You have anything to add today before we call it a day?
No, we're good to go.
Well, for me, I'm kind of the same way. I have nothing else to add. Nothing else to add. So just kind of in closing, the opportunity is always now. If you're watching this, get started today. Open your account today and put the future in your own hands. This is Mike with Maintain Your Gains. We'll see you next week. Have a blessed day. Peace.